So, Bishop Seraphim's getting frustrated and saying to me, at the end of it, he got really frustrated. He goes, look, take this pad and this pen and go and sit somewhere quiet. Draw a column, the pros and cons, and at the end of it, you'll get a better understanding. What he's trying to do is wanting me to start really thinking about.
This is to become a priest.
To become celibate.
A celibate priest. So
Yeah.
you had decided, so you knew you were going to be a priest then?
I knew from the time I was coming to the college that I was going to be a priest.
Okay, so...
But I didn't know in which way I was going to give myself.
Married or not married?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took the pad and the pen so I could get out of his office, but I said, I can't. It's not mathematics. 80% to 20%. Oh, I'll go with the 80%. Well, no, how do I know that 20? That 20 will work on you to undermine you for the rest of your life. So when you make the commitment, you've got to go for it and follow it and see it through. That's what St. Paisios said to me.
Yeah?
Follow it.
So you met St. Paisios?
I had asked him, I go, Yeroda, I go, agamos, married or celibate. He goes, pick a cross and carry it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you say which is the lightest?
Speaking of crosses, this one, from the first year all through the 4 years, he kept on nagging me. What's my cross? What's my cross? What's my cross? I go, you're my cross. Yes. Anyway, some time passed, and I said to him, please don't pressure me, it's upsetting me, I'm getting frustrated inside. He goes, right, then I will no longer, I'll never mention it to you again, but I will pray. I'll pray that God reveals it to you, and then when you know, I'll know. So remember, prayer, the power of prayer, praying for each other. It's important. So one Friday afternoon after lectures, after our duties, cleaning toilets or bathrooms, whatever we were doing, I would go into his office to get his blessing and to ask him where he would serve liturgy on Sunday so I would know where we're going to go. And that particular Sunday, we were going to St. George Monastery. You weren't there at the time, you were still a student. Yeah. But St. George's had things in my life as well. Asa, yeah. Anyway. Okay, what time will I pick you up on Sunday? So on and so forth. Okay, I get his blessing. I'm walking out of his office now with my back to him. I'm going through the door. And as I'm about to cross the threshold to get out of the office, I hear him say, Lipon, tithayini. Which means, okay, so what's going to happen? And it was at that moment that second calling or clarity overwhelmed me. I just stopped in my tracks and I started heaving with tears, crying, completely saying, yes, yes. Turning around, he's crying, so we hug each other, we sit down. And he goes, I need to let you know something. You're going to be ordained in 4 weeks. I had already spoken with the Archbishop over lunch, and we organised it. So get ready. Do you understand what happened? He had spoken with the Archbishop Stylianos at lunchtime about me being ordained, and God revealed it to me. Yeah.
St. George. In the meantime, we were at the college, all the students, and we were saying, what's going on with John? Something's wrong with him. He's not himself.
So what happened? As I come out of the bishop's office now, and I'm absolutely, something must have shown, because as I come out of the bishop's office, after having that complete clarity of commitment that I'm going to give myself as I am, which is celibate, and that is 100%. There's no room for any questions, doubts within myself. It's that complete peace that this is how I'm going to serve God and follow. as I come out of the office, Tasso, Father Anastasi Boziki, he was coming around the corner, and we pass each other in the corridor, and he looks at me, and he starts crying, and he goes, something's happened. I go, yeah, I'll tell you after. I go into the college now, into the old TV room, which is upstairs, and they're all sitting. This one's on the floor, others on the couches, watching TV. And as I've walked in, and they were all loud and rowdy, and as I walked in, they've all stopped and looked at me. So they've all understood that something's happened, because we're connected spiritually. We're having a journey together. We are having a journey together because we are one church, one body of Christ. Yeah? It's what St. Paul says. What happens to you happens to me. What happens to me happens to you. Yeah. Okay. I had 4 weeks to grow a beard. As if that was the biggest problem. He said, stop shaving. You got to have something there for the day of your ordination. I said, how do I prepare? What do I do? Not prepare in terms of how to read and chant in the church and that. Not that. How do I prepare myself spiritually? Like, what do I do? He goes, well, you've got 4 weeks. Okay, 4 weeks of prayer and fasting. Okay, prayer and fasting. And we're often encouraged throughout the year for prayer and fasting. Yeah, before Easter, before the feast of the Virgin Mary and so on. We have periods that are more intense of prayer and fasting. And I had 4 weeks to try and intensify and focus. Those 4 weeks were incredible. I went home, told my parents that I'm being ordained in 4 weeks. And I told them, please, when I get home from the college, I need to have fasting food. So just make lentils. I had lentils for a month. It was okay. I was normally 68 kilos. I didn't realize it. I lost 10 kilos in those 4 weeks. Yeah. If you see the ordination photos as a deacon, my shirt is out here. Yeah, I should do that again. But I went to see Father Stephanos, my spiritual father, and told him, and he said, oh, you're going to be ordained, and you're going to become the Archbishop's deacon. And I wanted you to become a priest here in the monastery. I go, well, what do I do now? He goes, no, you have to follow what the Archbishop says. Yeah. I said, how do I prepare? He goes, well, you do your prayer, you do your metanias, the prostrations. So outside of college time, before, in the early hours of the morning and all hours after, as soon as I got home, I would eat, and then the TV would be turned down, and I had complete peace. And I spent 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever it was, just reading, praying, crying. And that was the time of preparation. Yeah. And then we had the ordination.
No.
Huh? What did we have?
Then afterwards, everyone was wondering we would ask you questions, what happened.
Yeah, I told
Yeah.
you, didn't I?
Well, it came slowly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and?
And we and we'd ask, what does it feel like? What
Oh,
are you
yeah,
reading?
yeah, all
What are
that
you
stuff.
doing
Yeah,
this?
yeah, that's
What's
right.
going there?
That's bravo.
Do you have to eat more? Do you have to eat less? What do you have to do?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're having the journey together.
No, with everyone at the college.
Yeah, we were, yeah. Okay, and?
You have to tell us.
That from Ioannis to Iakovos, not really. Do I feel, or does my mother feel that I betrayed St. John the Baptist? No, because he's tasked with getting me to Christ. And then Christ is the one who transforms each person. And when I was ordained as a deacon, which is the first level of priesthood. I took up the responsibility of being assigned to serve Archbishop Stylianos, and I did for 6 years. And that was an incredible, and that's for another time as well. But at the time, he didn't know me well enough, and so he left my name as...
So why did they change your name when you were ordained? Especially,
It's a monastic...
unmarried priests.
It's a monastic tradition. When you become a monk or a nun, you take, once you become a monk or a nun, you take a new name.
Okay.
So it's a new, these things.
I don't know, I'm asking you.
Yeah. So that you are, it is the new person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you leave behind your old self, and this is the new person that's walking or trying to walk.
So John went up to a point. John, who was you at that at the age of 22, was up to one point, and then from John, Iakovos came into play.
Yeah, but that was
Father
later.
Iakovos.
Yeah. It's part of the monastic tradition, and a celibate priest is a monastic.
So what happens is you get a gura. So when you become a monk or celibate, you actually have a gura. So when you're named as a child before baptism, you actually do a gura. You know how the priest gets and cuts three pieces of your hair. It's the same thing that happens when you become a monk. So it's like a new baptism, let's say. Obviously baptism is only one, but this is a spiritual baptism. You change as a person. So they change your name as well. Yeah, because it's a new you.
Yeah. The late Archbishop Stylianos, he had in his life his most dearest, treasured mentor and spiritual father was the dean of the Theological School of Chalki in the Princess Islands in the Fana, Constantinople. The dean, his name was Metropolitan Iakovos of Ikoniou. He was, for the Archbishop, that person that changed his life in so many ways, and that's for another night.
These series of talks go for about 10 years. So.
Yeah, you'll be bringing your kids here as well. And as the Archbishop got to know me from student to his deacon and so on, I remember him saying earlier on, he goes, I should have changed your name. I should have given you the name of my Yeroda, Iakovos. I haven't given it to anyone. I don't dare give it to anyone. It's the most precious thing that he had, to him dearly. I'm unworthy but he felt that he wanted to give that to me as well. He tried to give me everything that he had, to strengthen me, to support me, to encourage me, to prepare me, I suppose, in so many ways. And he would tell me many, many things, many stories, many problems in the church, here or overseas. He would tell me, not to scandalize me. He was saying, I tell you these things not to scandalize you, but to prepare you. Not to have just a romantic view of things, but to know the blood and the guts and the nuts and the bolts of everything and the human condition. And so when I was ordained in 93 I was ordained as a deacon in second year. And in 99 I was ordained as a priest. And that's when, at that ordination, he gave me the name Iakovos. I knew from the night before he was going to change my name. I didn't dare tell anyone, neither my mother. So she was shocked when she heard the name. She said, oh no. You should see the photos. In one photo, she's happy, waiting for the ordination to take place. Then she hears the name, and then she's like computing now. This is not right. No, he's John, he's Ioannis. He can't be Iakovos, he has to be Ioannis. But after I explained to her and tried to give her some peace, that it's okay, we haven't betrayed St. John the Baptist. He brought me to Christ. That was his job. And he has to keep bringing me to Christ. Every time I venerate the icon before a liturgy, That's what I keep asking, you know. Don't let me slip away because, you know, I'll do it easily. You know, chase me. Yeah. And actually, so then I became a priest in the cathedral of the Archdiocese for 18 months. In Cogra, the Resurrection for 10 months, and then Oakley for 9 years. And then in 2010, yeah, so it was about, what is it, 99 to 2009, that's 10 years. From 9, hello? Yeah? 11, okay. In 2009, I was the only priest still in Oakley at the time, and I started to feel, this is something I forgot to mention, as a deacon and as a priest, I could feel inside like a pleurophorisi. There was like an indication, for want of a better word, that it was getting time for more change, something more. And so as a deacon, at the beginning of my 6th year, which was also my last year, I started to feel detaching from, like it was more just routine. It was different. And I knew something would happen. And then when the Archbishop said, I think it's time to ordain you, I said, yes, I feel I'm ready to move on.
I was actually in Melbourne before that, and you told me that story in Oakley. You said, I feel like it's time for me to...
Oh, yeah, in Oakley.
You remember? Yeah, you actually told me that story.
Yeah, so in 2009, I started to feel the same thing. I was running around left, right and centre, chasing the spiritual children, the kids, the neolao, all of that, doing everything, but inside feeling that something else it's time to hit the road, you know. And Father George was assigned to the parish. He was ordained in 2010. Yeah, 2010 he was ordained deacon and priest, and he came to serve at St. Zanariri in Oakley. We, at that time, when Father came, we were completely committed to work as one, to serve the needs of the church, the needs of the people, young and old. We never had a moment of any discomfort with each other or nothing. We had planned that we would see the year out with Father cutting his teeth, getting to know the ropes, and then over the Christmas break we would sit and sort of discuss, you know, what he would like to do, or the things that I know that I haven't done all these years that I couldn't get to, that we should develop. And then 6th of December, which is the feast of St. Nicholas, the Archbishop calls me from Sydney, Stylianos, and he goes, I've got some news to tell you. Today I wrote a letter to the Patriarch and the Synod, and I think it's time for you to become a bishop. And I said yes, because I felt that it was time to sort of, it was all, God was preparing me. Without knowing that Father George was coming to the parish, I thought he and I were going to be together for years, working together. When he was assigned to the parish, he was assigned with that intention for the two of us. And it was only literally around the time of the Feast of St. Nicholas that the Archbishop got that clarity as well to take the next step. And so in 2011, 20th of Feb, I think it is, I was consecrated bishop and came back to Melbourne to serve with Bishop Ezekiel, the needs of the church in all of Victoria and Tasmania. And that was an incredible journey as well. So that's it. I mean, the rest is, Queensland and then Sydney and, okay, thanks, but you got the gist of things, yeah? Yes. Yes? Okay. Look, this is probably getting boring for you now. You sure? If it is, just close your eyes. Because I used to put them asleep at Oakley as well. In the fellowships, I had the church lights turned low and just had the kadilya, the oil lamps burning so that they could all experience what? The prayerful environment of the church, away from all the lights of the world, and have that time in church before the fellowship for prayerful meditation. Yes? When Father Nicholas Moutafis passed, I was in Sydney at the time as a priest. I was at Vespers with the Archbishop and the other priests and what have you, and I remember hearing some of the priests talking, and they said, "Did you hear, Father Moutafis had a heart attack, he's in hospital." I just heard that. And then later I heard others saying that he's passed. So the most immediate response in my heart was a prayer for him. God give him rest and repose. And then, that's what you want to hear, Chris, after having said that prayer, the most immediate next thought that flashed like lightning through my mind was, I'm going to Melbourne. And then 2 days later, the Archbishop, we were talking, and he said, I'm in a dilemma. I need you to be in two churches at the same time. I need you to be in Cogra, but I also need you to be in Oakley, because Oakley is a large parish community, to have a school and so on and so forth. You're young, you'll get a lot out of the whole journey, the experience. You'll be crushed many times, but you'll grow because of that. And I need... But you are completely free. Think about it, and you are completely free to say, after having thought about it, your family's in Sydney, everyone's in Sydney, you're with the theological college, all these other auxiliary things that I was involved in. But so if you come back to me and say that, I've considered everything and I'd like to just continue in Sydney, then I will have to accept that, and I'll find someone else. And I said, no, I'll go to Melbourne. He goes, think about it. I go, no. And I told him what had happened. He goes, well, then go. And so he walked me around the cathedral 3 times, went for a walk, and he gave me the secret plan of how to come to Oakley. And he said, basically, love everyone so they can love you. If they love you, then there will be no more problems. Remember that I'm the Archbishop, not you, so don't go bashing people over the head. What was the third thing? There were 3 things that he said. And literally, in the car park of the Archdiocese, that was his master. People were trying to second guess, Oh, yeah, don't trust him. Look at him. Yeah, he looks like he's sweet and meek and mild, but he's going to take everything. And no, Carla. Yeah. Anyway, there was a third thing. I can't remember it now. Anyway, what are we doing here? Conversations.
Anyone else wants to?
I was just going to say, sorry, Grace. I was just going to say, I don't know if you remember it, Bishop, that when I was in year 10, and I had, my family was in a fair bit of trouble, and I remember your Grace saying, my dad ended up in prison. And I remember your Grace saying, I'm going to go for a drive if you want to come. And I was like, I don't really know that it's a bit bad for me to do it. But I'm a guestie as it is, you know what I mean? And on the way back, I think we got Macca's or something, and then the car tyre blew up.
That's right.
And then he's on his hands and knees, and I start changing tyres, and I'm looking like this, like, man, I have no clue what you're doing. I'm just a school kid. But it was probably one of the big parts of my life, like, and I still remember it to this day and talk about it. Like, we sort of know that someone's going on
quite a journey, wasn't it? And the same, just so that we don't just hear about me, but Dimitri's family took me to my first football game here in Richmond, and who were they? The Hawks. Yeah. Yeah. The school kids used to come up and ask me, "Who do you go for? Who do you go?" I go for the Demons. But you're a priest. You should go for the Saints. And I go, "No, I go for the Tigers." They go, "Why do you go for the Tigers?" Because they took me to the game. They gave me a Tigers scarf. That's it. I'm a Tigers fan now.
Your Grace, thanks for talking to us. You mentioned in your life there was that moment of clarity. For some people who might not necessarily experience that or have realized it yet, you mentioned before the power of prayer is really important. Would you have any advice to give to those people?
Something that ultimately plays and has played a great part tangibly and also behind the scenes is to have a spiritual father. Even when I was distant from mine, I was only distant because I was doing this. I wasn't looking at him. He was always there. Always there. Even in my dreams I would see him. So he was chasing me with his prayer, always. Yeah. So in your journey, the most important advice that I could give you is to make sure that you look after yourselves by finding a spiritual father that you can go to for confession, but also for the journey. You know, things happen in life and you need to talk to someone and ask for someone to pray for you or pray over you. And we have, thank God, many spiritual fathers here in Melbourne that you should be able to reach out to if you haven't got one already. But don't try and do it on your own because you'll get so far. But like in everything, education, you need teachers. Yeah? You go to the gym, you need, what do they call them?
Trainers.
Yeah, the personal trainers and those people. No. He's finished, yeah. But do you see how in God's time he reveals to each person at the right time when these things are to happen? When before Archbishop Makarios came, we did not have a lot of ordinations. There was a quiet time. And I remember the late Archbishop Stylianos going to me, "What's going to happen? All our priests are aging. We don't have any people coming up showing interest." And Bishop Ezekiel as well, who's responsible for a lot of people being ordained and a lot of people going to the theological college because he used to cultivate people. He goes to me, "That's it, Titha, we're going to close the churches." I go, No. In the right time, you'll see God. It's God's work. It's God's house. It's the body of Christ. We think we're not doing. We are giving ourselves to him, and he does in the right time. I go, you'll see that in the right time, people will come forward. He goes, "Spot there." I go, "You'll see." And when Archbishop Makarios came, by the breath of the Holy Spirit, God's will for him to be our Archbishop, he was ready to start picking the fruit from the trees.
I think he's had over 60 ordinations.
Yeah, he has. In the 3 years
Yeah.
that he's been here, between fires and lockdowns and all that, he's managed to ordain 60 people. 7 bishops, and the rest are priests and deacons and so forth. And, some people go to me, "Well, how come they didn't become priests or deacons before?" Because it wasn't revealed to them. God reveals. God prepares. So don't be afraid. That's what St. Paul says. Don't be afraid of the small flock, the small numbers. Don't be afraid. God will work with them and through them. Because it's his calling to the ministry. That's it then, isn't it?
Yeah, the church where there 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there amongst them. So if there's 3 people, that's the church. Makes no difference. The grace of God is there. That's it for me, Doctor.
Back to me. Yeah, there's probably a lot more that I could have said about, not about me, about other things, but just to bring it together, as I said, have your journey with each other in the church, growing together with your priests, with your bishops, but find that spiritual father, the one that will get to know you, the one that you'll get to know, the one that you trust, the one that you know that loves you and cares for you, even if he doesn't respond to your SMSs. Sorry, Pia. But that's what your SMS was about, if I remember correctly. So see how I remember? Amongst all those other things, there you go. Yeah, find a spiritual father. There are many here. And if you need guidance locally, go and see His Grace. As you used to come and see me, go and see him and ask for him to pray for you. No. I'm going back to Sydney. I'm going to Sydney tomorrow. I'm going back to Sydney. You're here. Who would have thought? When I remember when His Grace was Father Iakovos, in the abbot of the monastery in St. George in the Blue Mountains. And we used to do fundraisers for the monastery, and he came down to Oakley, and we had a big fundraiser. It was like 500-600 people in the hall. It was massive. I was bishop and you were the abbot. And as we're walking in, we're just laughing at each other, going, "You're a bishop." He goes, and I go, "Yeah, you're an abbot." And we're laughing at each other because we're still first years. We're still at the beginning of it all. And that's how it is. Because in the Holy Spirit, everything is refreshed and anew over and over again. There is no staleness, there is no end. It's just life and the abundance of life that Christ promised. I came to give life and the abundance of life, and to give it abundantly. Now what does that mean? I came to give life. Well, I'm living, I'm breathing, I'm expelling CO2, I'm whatever, I'm breaking down, I'm living. No, the abundance of life. More life. So not what I had before with the cars and all of this, but more life. Everything since that day has become more. Amplified. Everything. And sharing in people's journeys as a priest. Through their problems or their needs or whatever it is. And they say, "Oh, you give so much." Yeah, but no, I receive so much. Just the other day, I was sitting in the nursing home, one of our nursing homes, and this lovely lady came to life when I sat next to her, and she was just opening her heart. She was in a wheelchair. She couldn't, and she started talking about her life and what have you, and then she started kissing my hands and crying, but not one hand. If I had 10 hands, she'd be kissing 10 hands. She wanted just, and it's just incredible. So don't be afraid to have the journey. Don't be afraid to just trust in God and go to all the things that the church offers. Make yourselves available, participate, have the journey. You'll build those bridges, you'll get to know each other more and more. Yeah, beautiful friendships that last a lifetime. I said, no, I'm not going to Melbourne to talk, and he was persistent. How can I say no to him? I tried, but it didn't work. He said, "Come down for 3 weeks." I go, 3 weeks? 3 weeks. Thank God I've got something on Saturday. I have to go back to Sydney tomorrow.
I'd said, come down for 3 weeks, and then you'll get used to it, and then you can stay on. That was it. But you're leaving on Saturday. No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Sorry? Yeah, now that I've sort of over the fear of,
Flying.
yeah, whatever. Yeah. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, it's not that hard to come back. Coming to Christ is not something that just happened once on a particular day at a particular moment. It's always, every day, trying to recommit, because every day, without realizing it, we wander. And so trying to come back again and again. So I know what you've done. You've brought me here to remind me of these things, to help me along. That's what he's done. Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story that everyone knows this story, but I've got to mention it. When we were at the college, there was an initiative that was created by the students there, because there was a lot of us during those days, and we were all very close to each other. And we had decided to have a common meal, and the students will cook the meals. So, we decide every time, what are we going to have? We'll have this, we'll have rice, we'll have that. And then one day we thought, let's do something else. So we go and ask for money so we can, get something else, and we decided to go and get prawns and cook a meal with prawns.
This is what they're going to remember after.
So we go down to the local markets, and a few of us, and we're finding, what can we buy? These prawns are $30. Those ones are $20. These ones are $15. Well, we get the $15 ones.
Cheap, yeah.
Why not? Cheaper prawns. We get these prawns. So we buy the prawns. We take them back. We leave them on top of the bench, and we go and have a drink, have some lunch, go back to the prawns again, and then it was a very warm day as well.
And we put them in a big pot.
Then we put them in a pot. We cook with all this sauce. We made some rice. Yeah, it smelled really nice.
Really strong.
And then, it was, and then we thought, let's put it in the fridge. But, you can't put something hot in the fridge. So we left it out, let it cool down first, but it was really hot. So anyway, cut a long story short, they cooled down, we put them in the fridge, and then the next day we warmed them up again and served them up. So we made sure that the Archbishop,
all of our lecturers,
all the lecturers, all the
students,
priests, everyone got more prawns, and the ones that weren't so important got less prawns. So we made sure the head of the church has had a lot of prawns, everyone. And then and then we all ate, and everything was really good. And everyone went home, and end of the day. And during that period, that night there was a visiting priest monk who used to go around and do confessions, and that was he's now Bishop of Madagascar, who was Father Ignatios. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So that was Father Ignatios, and he used to be a monk from the monastery of Stavronikita, which is in Mount Athos. That was my monastery as well. And he used to visit Australia and do confessions everywhere. And he was at Father Stephanos' monastery, and you said you had to take him there. I think it was, or I can't remember. And I said, I'll come with you so I can get to see the other monks. So we go to Father Stephanos at this little monastery that they have, and we're sitting down, and we sort of, both of us going like this, thinking, there's something not right.
You know when it's quiet and your stomach makes noises? We were sitting there with the abbot and the now bishop, and they're having a spiritual discussion, and all you could hear is...
So, we had to go to the bathroom, and then afterwards we had to drive back to the college. So we're driving back to the college, and I'm saying, I don't feel well. My stomach's not well.
We're both sweating. That's why. You couldn't understand why.
Anyway, we get to the college. We run to the bathroom. And then you said, let's go and see how everyone else is. So this is the whole college. At that time, there would have been over
25
25 living in students.
24?
Yeah, there would have been 25, thereabout, living in students.
3 toilets.
So we walk into the college and there's no one, we don't hear much noise. We heard someone crying and, and I thought, oh, that sounds strange. So we go into the corridor and all the students are lined up along the corridor, holding their stomachs, and the toilets have been used, and someone's on the floor crying and saying, please, please. So everyone was sick. And the next day, what happened?
The next day I went to pick up the Archbishop from his residence. And in our conversation on the way back to the Archdiocese, I said to him, did you sleep okay? Were you okay last night? He goes, no. What about this morning? You feel okay? He goes, yeah, well, I had a bit of a strange movement, but I must have eaten something. I had something in the fridge last night that maybe was a few days too old. I go, no, this and this happened. He goes, Vre, you could have wiped out the whole Archdiocese, the college, the church in Australia would have been finished. He goes, from now on, you buy the proper prawns at the expensive price and no more shortcuts.
There was another what was that?
No, that was the first and last time.
Well, yeah. And then the last time we had a common meal for us cooking was when Father Vasiliadi said to us, why don't you make a meal with rice? And then he said in our village we used to do rice and put pasolada on top. And we thought, okay, that sounds okay. We'll do it. So we cooked rice and put fasolada on top. But in our group, we had a very large group of students in our year, and there was one student called Stylianos. He was an outspoken student, very intelligent, and he would, speak against anything that he thought wasn't right. So very outspoken. So when we used to cook, the Archbishop would eat and he'd say, who did that? And then everyone would say, me, and he'd say, bravo, well done. And then the next week he'd say, who cooked that? Father Iakovos, and he'd go, bravo. And the next time it was Konstantinos that we saw today, and so forth. We would always say someone cooked it. And we left out poor Stylianos. So this particular day, it was rice and fasolada on top. And we thought, the Archbishop goes, okay, who cooked? So he gets up, and we thought, oh, he's getting up very quickly. And he goes, who cooked this? And we go, Stylianos, so he can get the credit for it. All of a sudden, the Archbishop goes, that's the last time you're cooking. We're not doing this anymore. He copped the blame as well.
Well,
remember that?
Yeah, I think you pushed him under the bus.
That was funny. Anyway, that's all for tonight. Thank you.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up with those stories about food poisoning as we go into our dinner. So,
Is there anything in prawns?
no seafood. We'll be good. I want to thank you, Your Grace, for coming from Sydney. We really appreciate you giving us some insider info on your personal journey. We all really appreciate it, and thank you, Father George, for letting us use St. Catherine's Church Hall, and of course, Your Grace, Bishop Kyriakos. We've actually got a gift for you, Your Grace, from us at Go Youth Melbourne and from St. Catherine's Church. So this is on behalf of all of us.
There's a box of chocolates, an icon of St. Catherine from George in the parish here,
Lovely.
and some incense from Iakovos.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thank you.